commentary. The experience of union in, with, and as God triggers a bliss so intense as to temporarily erase your very sense of self. Your sense of independence is absorbed into the larger sense of interdependence, and both dissolve into the non-duality of God as the only true reality, Yechida. Yet not everyone is comfortable with this goal, and for those who are not, there is a lesser but still profound awakening called moving to Israel. Tevuna, comprehension. Tevuna is the good thought, the thought of God's non-duality that no less than ecstatic union aligns your actions with godliness. Imagine two people listening to a great symphony. One is lost in the exquisite beauty of the sound, oblivious to self. The other, visualizing the score in her mind, is no less awed, yet in no way lost. The first is experiencing bitul hayesh, the emptying of all things into ayin, the nothingness. The second is experiencing tevuna, intellectual rapture. Bitul, the emptying of all things, is superior to tevuna, the intellectual rapture, but both can align you with God and godliness. All right. Nothing about moving to Israel. Hypnosis poetry. Anyway, this is the Adrian Dittman Show. AdrianDittman.com. Hypnosis poetry with Adrian Dittman and me, Zach Ruda.
You got to remember that, it is actually your desire to go to Israel is actually just the metaphor for the name Israel, which means to wrestle with God or to wrestle with the angel. So what does that mean? Opening Torah and wrestling with very complex concepts and how it integrates into your life. And thus you go to Israel, you become Israel, you transform from Jacob to Yerushalayim, which is, the phoenix. So Tanya Torah is the path of liberation, the path of self-knowledge. That's why, don't be irascible. We did the Maimonides study. But, the problem is irascibility. It's a waste of your time. You're not wrestling, with the angel. And therefore, you don't get the Shekhinah, and which is really happiness, joy. So, that's why I like to do that. I like to try to, push you because it's hard to do this study by yourself. It's a lot easier. You have to have somebody. Because the saying is, Hashem is only present where two people or more are gathered in study of Torah.
Hashem. What about pork? You think is eating pork bad? Those who are not. You're not even Jewish. What the fuck am I asking you for? But you are. I think you're an honorary Jew.
Well, my dad, my grandparents, my uncles, my cousins. I mean, I'm connected, but even
your dad is Jewish. He was born a Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Jewish. Fuck all this shit, this mother shit. You gotta. If your dad was black, you'd be black.
Well, that's the thing is we live in such a matriarchal society now that only if your mother is Jewish, therefore all these women.
Right. But your case is different from. I don't know if I told you about. My neighbor's a cool guy, and he was like one of these guys who he was explaining to me how he was Jewish, and I got confused in the middle of his explanation. I was like, wait, what? How are you Jewish again? He's like, well, this is my grandmother and married a guy who might have converted. It's like, all right, that's too confusing. If I ask you, are you Jewish? And you're like, well, my dad's Jewish. My mom's not. It's like, all right, well, then you're half Jewish, I guess,
Yeah, but the whole point is, what is Jewish? Meaning that, if you don't study Torah, How are you even
Right.
Jewish? Like,
Well,
you got
that's
nothing
what was
Jewish in
confusing
you.
about Israel. I mean, there's many. Tel Aviv is a secular city, but they all identify as Jewish. You know what's weird, John? Tell me if you think this is weird, or you don't think this is weird at all. This is normal, but I like anytime I follow this page on Facebook, a Tel Aviv Facebook page, and a lot of times they have like astrology readings, or like somebody the other day was posting about how they learned to read coffee grinds. There's like a divination in the coffee grounds or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking, I'm like, I thought you fuckers were Jewish. What are you doing? Why are you reading coffee grounds? I thought you had an answer in the Torah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, listen, on the internet, you can publish anything you want. So in terms of like the spiritual path, everybody, even when they're publishing, is still learning. And not everybody gets to go to the Hillel College and drop $200,000, on a bachelor's and a master's in rabbinic studies. So, life is short. You have to try to use Torah to impact your intelligence, your decision making, and your outcome. Like, you have every second that you spend on this app being irascible is one more second of detriment to your future well-being. I mean, I'm sure you want to live a good life. I'm sure you want to have, a house, financial stability, a wife maybe, or at least a lover, and maybe a child, and have something that like you can call your own. But it could take months and years to like build a business. But you use the Torah to build your relationships, to build yourself. Freemasonry is all about building buildings and building men. All these women, they're not building men and they're not building buildings. They're using men who build buildings and build men. You have to look at this as like from being the leader of, your future tribe. I mean, a woman just is not going to build a fucking thing for you. If anything, you got to Andrew Tate that pussy. So welcome, OOO. But anyways, let's continue our Tanya Torah study.
I would pronounce it ooh, ooh, or maybe ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay.
No, I agree with you. It's fun to be fun, and honestly, like if you can make Torah fun, that's the best way to do it, because fun is like sex. Fun is like God. If you don't think that God isn't a comedian, you don't know comedy. And if, a lot of people think they know art, but they, that's not art. That is not art. I am an artist, and I can tell you that is not art. Do you even have any followers or customers? It's not art. Sorry, it's vulgarity.
I don't think that is art. I don't know how I will explain this to my family. I don't think, personally, for me, that's not art. For me, that's not art.
Oh, man. It's true, though. It's like, if you're some chick dating some guy and you think like he's a professional, and next thing you know, you see him like with his shirt off screaming at people into 100 phones with some like naked big titty overlay, you're like, that's not art, bro. That's something else happening.
Well, I gotta hold the mirror to you. Is that not? Are there not elements of your performance here that are irascible in nature?
Well,
could you not be more effective if you simply skipped, put on two things? I would only change two things for you. A, put on a shirt. B, no titty pictures. Other than that, the million phones, the basement thing, the videotaping yourself, everything you say.
The basement thing.
No, that's fine. But the shirt, I would add a shirt. And I would I don't know what's up with the titty pictures. It's very confusing.
I'm just screenshotting what I see and what I like. But the fact that...
I wanted to say this to you the other day. It might have been yesterday. When you say that you're screenshotting what you like, you realize that it is an algorithm thing. And
I know, but sometimes...
But John, I don't see titties on Instagram. I see baskets and knitting
Oh yeah. Well,
Garden.
that's because I'm following 7,500 people and the algo wants to show me what it knows I want to look at. But even when the algo shows me things, like not everything is high enough quality to screenshot. So like what I screenshot to me is like,
I
oh,
think it's even more insidious than that. I think it's not only does it show you what it thinks you want to see, and this is true for TikTok, but it might be true for Instagram. It literally shows you what you spend time looking at. Like it has a shot clock that starts counting as soon as you scroll onto a video. And if you spend 5 seconds on this video, you go to the next one, it's similar. You go to the next one, it's similar. But then you get bored and you're like, all right, fuck this. Swipe, 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 swipe. Now it's different. It's slightly different. I noticed this the other day. I ran an experiment. It was showing me like people jogging, but then it switched. And then it was showing me a woman in her apartment walking on like a foot treadmill. And then I was like, fuck this. And then it started showing me food, people cooking. Anyway, maybe I'm paranoid, but I think it shows you, if you look at titties, you get more titties.
yeah, but it's also who you're following. The algorithm every day resets. I don't know what time it resets, like if it's 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. But you know, it starts aggregating, you know, it starts anyways. We don't need to talk about that because that's just irrelevant and irascible because you know, let's use this time for Toyota study. I've got to be, you know, got to be honest. Like, you know, we're friends, but like the best way that we can, you know, help each other, in my opinion, is with Toyota study. There's no other form of communication which is as useful to both of us. But you know, talking about how shit works is not Toyota study. That's just us being product managers and trying to do testing, you know, for a company that we have absolutely no financial interest in. You got to look at, see, that's the thing is like you're in the basket weaving business, AKA, you know, you're into products, but like at the same time, digital products and creating and using all these translations to essentially like educate yourself and educate others. Yeah. Dude, you absolutely have to have a YouTube channel. We have to collaborate.
I mean, I wish you were here. No.
But dude, you don't. Nobody needs to be anywhere, man. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Is like you're not. I mean, do you want me to send you a burner phone? I mean, I'll spend the money.
One way that you could help me if you were physically here is you could hold the camera.
Dude, there's a tripod for that. I'm looking at 12 tripods.
I have a tripod. I have one of you saw my rocket stove creation video.
Yeah.
So I bought for $200 or something this thing that holds my phone and it lights up, and maybe it was only $100. But it's a nice thing. It holds my phone. But still, and this is, you know, I don't know if you're going to roll your eyes at this, but like you got to set it up and shit, and every shot you got to move it and fucking set it up and tighten it and loosen it and all this. And then I do see videos online where it's just like shot by another person. It's just like the friend or the girlfriend is holding the camera. And like, come on, bro, that is simpler. Like, it's simpler and easier, you know? And I can find people like that here, but
you don't need to. This is like an hour of power. You need to get a tripod, and we need to go back and forth with Toyota study, and we need McZed to sit there and say, okay, you guys are, you know, knocking it out of the park. But even McZed won't do that type of work here. He wants to have irascible conversations because he spent 20 years of his life in some shul in a yeshiva davening and studying with some other, you know, partners. So you got to realize that, like, you know, just 1 hour a day is really all you need. And if you have Tefillin, you can put on Tefillin while we do the morning Torah study. But, you know, we need to grow a minyan. If we can grow a minyan of 10 Jews, you know, studying Tanya, I mean, we will have our own Chabad. You know, like I want to put a sign up on the side of my house that says, you know, Jefferson Park Chabad, you know. I'm kidding, but, you know, like it's my building here is it gets 600,000 cars driving by it a month. And so, like, I've put up signs, for yoga class, meditation class. The thing is, like, I could put up signs for anything: real estate agent, financial advisor. Like, it's an advertising business. I could fulfill the back end, or I could sell the ad space. All I'm saying is that, like, Clubhouse is, how are we going to use it as opposed to like it using us and wasting our life? I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, every second you listen to Jazzy is like one more second you never get back.
I don't do that, but I don't really do that anymore. I think that's old. I check in. These days, I'm either with you or I'm with the Jews. I waste time. My biggest time waster now is Jeff.
Jeff's rooms. Well, that's the thing,
Jeff's
is you set it and forget it.
Yeah, it's just always a waste of time. It's like almost on the level of Jazzy, because it's just people talking about nothing.
Well, that's the thing, is like I have, like, anyways, I've recorded Jeff's rooms, and the thing is, it's like all these rooms, they will sit here for 8 hours a day and just be totally linked. But the thing is, I'm filming them in another room in my house on another burner phone. And that's the podcast. Like, people are giving you an opportunity to record them. I mean, you may not want to do it, but I mean, I don't really have any fear of legal repercussions from like live streaming and posting, 10 conversations onto YouTube a day.
I just don't know what the value is.
The value is it's dynamic, it's content. Imagine having AI chatbots and recording them. It's still not as good as real humans having conversations. In unrecorded spaces, like, to get those records out into YouTube, if you don't identify the people in the conversation, they'll never be able to find the video. They'll never know it. Anyways, I'm just coming up with business ideas, dude. Like, I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm saying experimentation is the scientific method. If you're not experimenting with anything and all you're doing here is just having conversation after conversation, you'll have to admit sooner or later that you're not creating anything, because there's nothing to distribute. So, again, you've got, you're working as a waiter. You need more creative expansion, more creative products. That is the only way you're going to financially save yourself, is through creation, through Genesis. You have to start creating product. And another cell phone.
Kimchi. What about the kimchi?
Dude, use a cell phone to make your money. Don't use food. Don't use wicker weave baskets.
Video. Maybe I should make a kimchi video.
Good. Call it. It doesn't matter, because after you do that and you do 10 of those videos, 20 of those videos, you're going to go on to something next. Eventually, the algorithm is going to give you some traction. Plus, I don't know. Like, I feel like the algorithm hates me because maybe the way I use it. But like, if you do it authentically, it might like you. But you got to get started. You've got to do, like, I hate to say it, but like 300 videos a month minimum. Which is 10 a day. That's 10 a day. Those are still rookie numbers. You could get 100 videos out a day, and that's 3,000 videos a month. But again, it's also the keywords. People are going to view your videos not just on what is on the video, but what are the keywords? What is the title? What is the subject? So, you've got a lot of time. Like, and you're on this app. Use the fucking app. I mean, you told me one time, you're like, dude, all you're doing is bootlegging Clubhouse. I was like, that's a great way of saying it. But like, I'm still telling you, like, when are you going to get started? When are you going to start recording yourself? Like, you got nothing to lose, Plus, women will reach out to you. Like, you're already doing it. And I know you're already doing it, but do more of it and do other things. Don't just be Zach Ruda, the hip hop artist. Be Zach Ruda, the Clubhouse bootlegger, the spammer, the guy who's doing investigative journalism into psychology, into politics, into law, into science. Experiment. Don't ask questions. No more questions ever. Questions show that you just don't do that. That when people ask questions on this app, that's like saying, let me Google that for you. You lazy piece of shit. You're just going to use me as your Google? Okay, let me Google that for you. Anybody who here is asking questions is clearly failing. You have to create. You have to experiment. It's the best methodology. And I'm not trying to preach. I'm just trying to create content.
I mean, yeah, it's great. I'm still, yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'm responding to some.
Like, why don't you do jujitsu videos? Like, do technique videos. Get the owner of your jujitsu studio. Say, Zach, I fucking love you, bro. You're bringing me business. You're creating content. You have your own YouTube business now about jujitsu, and you're bringing me customers. Like, win-win.
Well, he has his own videos.
Who cares? Do your own fucking videos. Call it Zach Ruda Jiu-Jitsu. You know, you're there. Like, film yourself when you're in class if you can get permission. Like, never lose an opportunity to record. I go to live music events at major venues here in Chicago, and I tell the artists when they come off stage, I say, "Are you filming this?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Why not?" I'm like, "This is incredible. Like, you'll never get this opportunity to record at this venue again. Like, what the fuck?" They're like, "Fuck, you're right. Fuck." Every single time.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck, you're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right. I don't even have success, but at least I know that I'm always killing two birds with one stone. Never leave a stone unturned. When the pumpkin is boiling, split it. You know, like, it's just obvious that, like, you should be recording shit. It's always obvious. Because I don't know, it's a paperless business. Anyways, I've gone on long enough. Let us continue our Toy Britannia study. Do you want to read the next chapter, or should I read the next chapter?
Let's see. This is called folly. Here is another meaning of the teaching, for this thing is very near to you. Even when folly enters into you, you can be free of it. Folly causes you to forget your unity with God. Remembering unity erases folly. You remember your union with God by arousing the love of God that is always present in your heart. Even if folly leads to idolatry, still you can turn from it and be free. True, our sages said, one who says, I will sin and repent again, is not given an opportunity to repent. But this does not mean that repentance is denied them, only that God will not provide them with an opportunity to repent. They must seize their own moment for repentance, and then God will forgive them. For, as it is written, nothing can stand in the way of repentance. For this thing is very near to you, Deuteronomy 30:14. In this reading of the text, the Alter Rebbe defines this thing as the innate love of God resting in your heart, just as he earlier spoke of God's love surrounding your heart. By arousing this love, you recall your divine nature, Penimiyut, and achieve realization of your continual union with God, Da'at Devakut. Anyone can do this because no one is beyond redemption. Yet some might object and point to the sages who taught, one who says, I will sin and then repent, and then sin and then repent again, is not given the opportunity to do so, which is from the Talmud. Yet, the Alter Rebbe refuses to write off anyone and insists that even the habit of sin can be broken if you wish to break it. Thus, he reminds us nothing can stand in the way of repentance from the Jerusalem Talmud. The Hebrew for repentance, teshuvah, means to turn. The in-betweener turns from evil to do good, turns from selfishness to selflessness, turns from the folly of separation to the wisdom of union, and then turns again. The turning isn't once and for all, but over and over again, for the spirit of folly continually haunts the neshama. Damn! You gotta keep turning it. Fuck. It's a continuous turning.
Turning is what the universe is doing. Turning is what you're doing, which is dancing or rotating. Like that's the whole thing is to get a spinner in your life. It's a little bit like the dreidel, basically. Okay, did you finish it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, let's listen to a Shema, and then I will, and then you can read another one. This is the Sephardic Shema.
I've seen so many people on TikTok order a shark float for their pool. I'm going to say that it's a must-have for pool parties. What do you think?
Okay, look, and notice the word Shema. It's like implying a goddess or a female deity. And then Israel, Israel is the sun God, basically.
Shema
Okay, I know you said you wanted to learn something about tarot. So let me read to you the interpretations of the first 10 major arcana cards. 0 is Fool. The Fool, idea, thought, spirituality, that which endeavors to rise above the material, if the subject which is inquired about be spiritual. If the divination refers to a material event of ordinary life, this card is not good and shows folly, stupidity, eccentricity, and even mania. Unless offset by very good cards, it is too ideal and unstable to be generally good in material things. Number 1, the magician, skill, wisdom, adaptation, craft, cunning, always depending on neighboring cards, sometimes occult wisdom. Number 2, the high priestess, change, alteration, increase and decrease, fluctuation, whether for good or evil, is shown by cards connected with it. Compare with death and the moon. 3, the empress, beauty, happiness, pleasure, success, also luxury, and sometimes dissipation, but only if with very evil cards. For the Emperor, war, conquest, victory, strife, ambition. 5, the Hierophant. Divine wisdom, manifestation, explanation, teaching, differing from, though resembling in some respects, the meanings of the magician, the hermit, and the lovers, occult wisdom. 6, the lovers, inspiration, passive, and in some cases mediumistic, thus differing from that of the Hierophant, magician, and hermit. Motive, power, and action arising from inspiration and impulse. 7, the chariot. Triumph, victory, health, success, though sometimes not stable or enduring. Number 8, strength, courage, strength, fortitude, power, not arrested in the act of judgment, but passing on to further action, sometimes obstinacy, compared with justice. Number 9, the hermit. Wisdom sought for and obtained from above. Divine inspiration, but active as opposed to that of the lovers. In the mystical titles, this card and the Hierophant and the Magician comprise the three magi. 10, Wheel of Fortune, good fortune and happiness within bounds, but sometimes also a species of intoxication with success, if the neighboring cards bear this out. Okay, I'll give you a little more. This is the Magus. This is the Magician. And in Spanish, it's El Mago. Keywords: Mercury, communication, playful dealings with all possible forms of communication, flexibility, brilliance. The Magus, or the Magician, is represented by the Greek god Mercury, the messenger with wings of pure spirit. See the yellow wings on his feet. Mercury bears energy, which spreads and radiates from him. The card represents the will, wisdom, and the word through which the world was created. Mercury balances with great skill on the tip of a surfboard-shaped stand and juggles with the different tools of communication. He is a genius at using all the possibilities available to him in his duality. Mercury stands for truth and falsehood. He brings all set ideas and judgments into question, which often makes him appear in a questionable light himself. As a creative creature, he knows no conscience. He uses all tools, all methods to arrive at his goal. The temptation to misuse his talents is great. His ability and skill lend him superiority and power. He moves on the narrow border between white and black magic. This means he needs constant self-examination. He can use his talents in a self-seeking manner or in the service of love and light. In this painting, the Magus plays the possibilities of communication. He wears a smile, meaning that he communicates with humor. The humorous, playful ease with which he manipulates his ability is an indication of its potential positive use. The monkey is the companion of the Egyptian god of wisdom, Thoth. He illustrates that wisdom can never be regulated in set ways. Any external manifestation, for example through words, includes in it some illusion. The objects Mercury juggles represent different realms of communication. For example, number 1, coins, body, matter, finance. 2, fire, inspiration, transformation, dynamics. 3, wand, philosophy, religion, spirituality. 4, arrow, directness, honesty, purposefulness. 5, scroll, writing, publication. 6, winged egg, extrasensory perception, telepathy. 7, cup with snake, emotions, relationships, sexuality. 8, sword, intellect, logic, analysis. The 2 snakes at his head are an ancient Egyptian symbol for healing and regeneration, caduceus. In this context, they refer to the regeneration of thought. Above them is the Eye of Horus, god of perception, with the symbol of a dove, bearer of the spirit. The Magus receives inspiration from the soul of the universe, whose message he spreads on earth. This is more strongly expressed by the blue-yellow energy beam which enters his head, penetrates through his body, and emerges again at his feet. He cannot fulfill his tasks without constant remaining in touch with the spiritual forces of the universe. He is always in the service of a superior law. When he recognizes and accepts this as his true function, he bears clarifying light into the darkness of ignorance and misunderstanding. Indications you have at your disposal brilliant capabilities, which you should share with other people, Zach. One important task is to find or create the proper surroundings for your activities. Questions: in what areas lie your talents? With what methods and in what surroundings can you pass them on or share them? Suggestion: create a new YouTube account. Visualize your ideal area of activity. Describe it. Affirmation: the full expression of my creative potential fulfills me and makes me happy and satisfied. Okay, that's the Magus or the magician, which is Mercury. So, that's the big card. There's a lot of other important cards, but the magician, I have the magician tattooed on my chest as a reminder.
Hey, we got Calvin here. Thank you, John, Adrian. That was beautiful. I was listening to the whole thing while also doing some bullshit work. American?
So Narges, if you want, I'll read to you the High Priestess if you want to come up and say anything, Narges.
Why aren't you going to read to me?
Because you're an irascible creature who,
He's new? Oh, no. Are you new?
I'm new, yeah.
Have you used Clubhouse before?
No, I'm new. This is...
Shut up,
me?
Calvin.
No.
Calvin, don't waste our time. Don't waste our time, Calvin.
Well, it might be on. Is he real?
No,
Yeah.
this is my coach.
Is this real world or exercise?
This is my coach. Calvin has a new account every day, a new PTR.
Oh, it's Coach? It's Coach
He
Calvin?
comes to all my rooms. Yeah, Calvin. Sometimes he's retarded. Sometimes he's less retarded.
No, I'm not. Look, I'm new on Clubhouse. I'm looking to connect.
You're networking. Okay, Narges, do you want to hear the High Priestess, Narges? Do you want to say anything, Narges, or are you just here to listen? Okay, this is the Priestess. This is the Shekhinah. Keywords: moon, access to intuitive powers, healing, independence, inner equilibrium, increased self-confidence. The Priestess is represented by the moon goddess Isis. She is surrounded by a fine network of light rays, an expression of her spiritual nature. Her essence is unrestricted independence. She is in touch with her intuitive abilities and can trust them completely. She perceives and is connected with her own inner voice, the internal guide and healer. This shows outwardly in her trust in and responsibility to herself. Like the camel, which can travel long stretches in the desert without water, you, when you have discovered your own inner spring, also radiate a satisfied sense of self-sufficiency. You find fertile oases, flowers and fruits at the bottom of the card in the innermost reaches of your being. The more you accept yourself and share with others, the deeper the clarity of your perceptions will become, represented by the crystals. In this deck, the Priestess is one of the strongest cards for balance, equilibrium, and harmony. The upper half of her body expresses the feminine receptive. This is accented by the upward swinging lines and the upward pointing crescent moons behind her head. The crown is the moon, which receives light from the sun. From the navel down, her body expresses the male principle. The lines are straight, dynamic, direct in purpose. The bow and arrow in her lap accentuate this concept. The Priestess can indicate extrasensory perception and intuitive abilities such as clairvoyance, telepathy, creative visualization, empathy, intuitive knowledge, and healing powers. These abilities arise in harmony with and in service to the ultimate cosmic laws. Indications: you now have access to your intuitive powers. Develop them more fully. Guard your independence. Question: are there areas in your life in which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? Suggestion: seek out water as often as you can. Meditate near water and learn from it as much as you can. Affirmation, I trust my intuitive abilities. Okay, that's the priestess. Welcome, Narges. Narges is a Stoic. Up next, we're going to read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations in honor of the Stoic Narges. Okay, this is just one page from Marcus Aurelius. Art thou angry with him whose armpits stink? Art thou angry with him whose mouth smells foul? What good will this danger do thee? Has he such a mouth? He has such armpits. It is necessary that such an emanation must come from such things. But the man has reason, it will be said, and he is able, if he takes pain, to discover wherein he offends. I wish thee well of thy discovery. Well then, and thou hast reason by thy rational faculty, stir up his rational faculty, show him his error, admonish him. For if he listens, thou wilt cure him, and there is no need of anger, neither tragic actor nor whore. As thou intendest to live when thou art gone out, so it is in thy power to live here. But if men do not permit thee, then get away out of life, yet so as if thou wert suffering no harm. The house is smoky, and I quit it. Why dost thou think that this is any trouble? But so long as nothing of the kind drives me out, I remain, am free, and no man shall hinder me from doing what I choose. And I choose to do what is according to the nature of the rational and social animal. The intelligence of the universe is social. Accordingly, it has made the inferior things for the sake of the superior, and it has fitted the superior to one another. Thou seest how it has subordinated, coordinated, and assigned to everything its proper portion, and has brought together into concord with one another the things which are the best. How hast thou behaved hitherto to the gods, thy parents, brethren, children, teachers, to those who looked after thy infancy, to thy friends, kinsfolk, to thy slaves and clubhouse? Consider if thou hast hitherto behaved to all in such a way that this may be said of thee. Never has wronged a man in deed or word on Clown House, and call to recollection both how many things thou hast passed through, and how many things thou hast been able to endure, and that the history of thy life is now complete, and thy service is ended, and how many beautiful things thou hast seen, and how many pleasures and pains thou hast despised, and how many things called honorable thou hast spurned, and to how many ill-minded folks thou hast shown a kind disposition. Why do unskilled and ignorant souls disturb him who has skill and knowledge? What soul then has skill and knowledge? That which knows beginning and end, and knows the reason which pervades all substance, and through all time by fixed periods or revolutions administers the universe. Soon, very soon, thou wilt be ashes, or a skeleton, and either a name or not even a name, but name is sound and echo. And the things which are much valued in life are empty and rotten and trifling, and like little dogs biting one another on Clown House, and little children quarreling on Clubhouse, laughing, and then straightway weeping. But fidelity and modesty and justice and truth are fled up to Olympus from the widespread earth. What then is there which still detains thee here on Clown House? If the objects of sense are easily changed and never stand still, and the organs of perception are dull and easily receive false impressions, and the poor soul itself is an exhalation from blood, but to have good repute amidst such a world as this is an empty thing, why then dost thou not wait in tranquillity for thy end, whether it is an extinction or a removal to another state? And until that time comes, what is sufficient? Why, what else then to venerate the gods and bless them, and to do good to men, and to practice tolerance and self-restraint? But as to everything which is beyond the limits of the poor flesh and breath, to remember that this is neither thine nor in thy power. Thou canst pass thy life in an equable flow of happiness, if thou canst go by the right way, and think and act in the right way. These two things are common both to the soul of God and to the soul of man, and to the soul of every rational being, not to be hindered by another, and to hold good to consist in the disposition to justice and the practice of it, and in this to let thy desire find its termination. If this is neither my own badness nor an effect of my own badness, and the common weal is not injured, why am I troubled about it? And what is the harm to the common weal? Do not be carried along inconsiderately by the appearance of things, but give help to all according to thy ability and their fitness. And if they should have sustained loss in matters which are indifferent, do not imagine this to be a damage, for it is a bad habit. But as the old man, when he went away, asked back his foster child's top, remembering that it was a top, so do thou in this case also. When thou art calling out on the rostra, hast thou forgotten, man, what these things are? Yes, but they are objects of great concern to these people. Wilt thou too then be made a fool for these things? I was once a fortunate man, but I lost it. I know not how, but fortunate means that a man has assigned to himself a good fortune, and a good fortune is good disposition of the soul, good emotions, good actions.
I said, no. I want to learn Ivrit. I want to speak Hebrew. They said, oh, we have to say. Okay, that's Im Hashem Lo Yivne Bias, the Shira Choir.
Have you ever heard Od Yotel Tov?
No, you want to play it?
I don't have the ability to play things like you do, really, but I think this song is called Od Yotel Tov. This is like the fucking anthem in Israel. Od Yoter Yotel.
Welcome back.
ברוכים
Yotel.
השבים והשבות.
You
Or
just said the word.
yotel.
To the
Tell,
word.
not tell. Tell. Yotel.
עוד לא נתתי קרן על כל גבעות העיר, עוד לא הכל עשיתי ממש במו ידיי, עוד לא הכל ניסיתי, עוד לא אהבתי די, עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על עליי, עוד לא.
That's it? That's what you're talking about?
Is that it? That's no. There's like techno versions.
There's
Hang on.
always like an EDM techno version.
Yeah.
Narza, do you want to say anything or are you just a silent visitor today? I think I found one.
עוד לא בניתי לי
You couldn't say anything?
את חלומותיי, איי איי איי, עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש
So, no,
That's it. We didn't get to the chorus yet.
על פניי, עוד לא אמרתי די, ואם לא עכשיו,
It's better than
איי איי איי, לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על פניי, עוד לא אמרתי די, ואם לא עכשיו, ואף על פי שאת פה, ואת כל כך יפה, ממך אני בורח כמו ממגפה, עוד יש הרבה דברים ש...
it's 3 minutes, 20 seconds long.
anyway. It doesnn't matter.
Yeah, as if I was on bang bang.
I gave your girlfriend my number. Psych! That's the wrong number.
Okay. This is called the Book of Wisdom or Folly. Again, I think a lot of the wisdom stuff that we do is Gnostic work. But, I think that's what it is.
I like narcissism.
Okay, this is from the Book of the Law. Actually, I'll read to you the Hymn to Pan. You should try reading this, Zach. It's called the Hymn to Pan.
What is it?
It's called Hymn to Pan. You want to try to read it? I'll get you the link.
Japan.
Yeah, let me get you the link. I'll have you read it instead. I've read it so many times. But I would be very careful over the next 10 hours after reading this.
Why?
Because it's considered Aleister Crowley's favorite poem that he wrote. And
No way.
if it's real, if you can actually invoke Pan, Pan is a trickster, so you should be careful after reading this, because I have had people read this. Their house has burned down. They broke their leg.
What?
Yeah, all kinds of horrible things can happen, but also wonderful things can happen. It's all about how you decide to utilize the power of the poem. So click the link above. It's on Sacred Texts. Very powerful poem. Go ahead, read it out loud. Don't read it irascibly. You might upset Pan. Read it. Try to read it like a British thespian actor.
For thrill with lissom lust of the light. Oh man, my man, come careering out of the night of Pan. Io Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, come over the seas of Sicily and from Arcadia, roaming as Bacchus with fauns and pards, and nymphs and satyrs for thy guards. On a milk-white ass come over the sea to me. Come with Apollo in bridal dress, shepherdess and pythoness. Come with Artemis silken shod, and wash thy white thigh, beautiful God. In the moon of the woods on the marble mount, the dimpled dawn of the amber fount. Dip the purple of passionate prayer in the crimson shrine, the scarlet snare, the soul that startles in eyes of blue to watch thy wanton sweeping through the tangled grove, the gnarled bowl of the living tree of spirit and soul. And body and brain come over the sea, Io Pan, Io Pan, devil or God, to me, my man, my man. Come with trumpets sounding shrill over the hill. Come with drums low muttering from the spring. Come with flute and come with pipe. Am I not ripe? I who wait and ride and wrestle with air that hath no boughs to nestle my body, weary of empty clasp, strong as a lion and sharp as an asp. Come, oh come, I am numb with the lonely lust of telephone. Thrust the sword through the galling fetter, all devour, all getter. Give me the sign of the open eye and the twin erect of thorny thigh, and the word of madness and mystery. O Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, 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 Pan. I am a man. Do as thou wilt, as a great God can. O Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, Pan. I am awake in the grip of the snake. The eagle slashes with beak and claw. The gods withdraw. The great beasts come. Io Pan, I am born to death on the horn of the unicorn. I am Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, Pan, Pan. I am thy mate, I am thy man, goat of thy flock, I am gold, I am God, flesh to thy bone, flower to thy rod. With hoofs of steel I race on the rocks, through solstice, stubborn to equinox, and I rave, and I rape, and I rip, and I rend, everlasting, world without end, mannequin, maiden, maiden, man in the might of Pan, Io Pan, Io Pan, 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 Io Pan. All right, do you think something is going to happen to me?
Can I use a magic spell too, Adrian?
Don't look at it as like something's going to happen to you. The whole point is that is like basically you're trying to usher in the Holy Spirit or the Shekinah. So just know that what I said to you earlier was like a joke, that the girl that I was thinking about who was having difficulties in her life, it had nothing to do with her reading this poem. But the poem is really a meditation and a hypnosis. But it is a way to awaken your Kundalini. You didn't really read it with enough gusto.
What are you talking about? I thought that was good. You didn't like that?
No,
That
it's
was
very
the first
good.
reading. That was a cold reading.
It's very good. Very good. The point
We have a
is,
different style.
no, you're reading it like Zach. You need to read it like you're some thespian.
Well, I am a thespian. How would you? I mean, I don't read it with
You
a
are
fake
reading
British
like-
accent.
Read it with like a thespian, like read it with a thick Thick British accent.
British thespian means British?
Well,
They have
no.
American thespians.
Okay, Narcissus, what did you want to read? Go ahead.
Pick something for me.
Oh, okay.
The spell, perhaps.
Yeah, let me give you a thelemitic spell. Okay. Do you okay? Let's just have you read the Shin Shin Ming, which is a Taoistic Zen document from the third patriarch. Third patriarch. I had my sister reading this, and she was crying, looking at the sunset. She was like, I don't know if I should be in this relationship. I was like, Samantha, do you believe in the ego? She's like, of course. I'm like, so you think you have an ego? She's like, yeah, I know I have an ego. And I was like, can you touch it? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you pass it to me? I was like, you don't have an ego. It's a Freudian concept. It doesn't exist in the real world. She's like, that's not true. We have egos. Okay, so click the link above. It's called Third Chinese Patriarch of Zen, Shin Shin Ming. Go ahead and read that document, Narcissus. We're gonna love it. This is what you're looking for.
I can read half of
And by the way, Zach, great job reading that hymn to Pan. I was just,
It's okay. I'm very sensitive.
No, I mean, you really did do a great job. I captured
I mean,
it.
I went to acting school to learn how to be a thespian.
Listen, you read it perfectly. And do you know that only 1% of people can actually read a script perfectly? You read it perfectly. And I recorded it and I did background music. So just wait till you see
I made
the
a few
finish.
mistakes. I had a few fumbles.
Oh, well, just
But it was
wait till
my
you
first
see.
reading.
We'll just wait till you see the product I made, and you're going to be like, dude, that was awesome. Narges, go ahead.
Shin Shin Ming. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. To no avail. The way is perfect, like bar space, where nothing is lacking and nothing is in excess. Indeed, it is due to our choosing to accept or reject that we do not see the true nature of things. Live neither in the entanglements of the outer things, nor in the inner feelings of emptiness. Be serene in the oneness of things, and such erroneous views will disappear by themselves. When you try to stop activity to achieve passivity, your very effort fills you with activity. As long as you remain in one extreme or the other, you will never know oneness. Those who do not live in the single way fail in both activity and passivity, assertion and denial. To deny the reality of things is to miss their reality. To assert the emptiness of things is to miss their reality. The more you talk and think about it, the further astray you wander from the truth. Stop talking and thinking, and there is nothing you will not be able to know. To return to the root is to find the meaning, but to pursue appearances is to miss the source. At the moment of inner enlightenment, there is a going beyond appearance and emptiness. The changes that appear to occur in the empty world we call real only because of our ignorance. Do not search for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. Do not remain in the dualistic state. Avoid such pursuits carefully. If there is even a trace of this and that, of right and wrong, the mind essence will be lost in confusion. Although all dualities come from the one, do not be attached even to this one. When the mind exists undisturbed in the way, nothing in the world can offend. And when a thing can no longer offend, it ceases to exist in the old way. When no discriminating thought arises, the old mind ceases to exist. When thought objects vanish, the thinking subject vanishes. And when the mind vanishes, objects vanish. Things are objects because of the subject, that is the mind. The mind or the subject is such because of the things that if you wish to see the truth, understand the relativity of these two and the basic reality, the unity of emptiness. In this emptiness, the two are indistinguishable, and each contains in itself the whole world. If you do not discriminate between coarse and fine, you will not be tempted in prejudice and opinion. To live in the great way is neither easy nor difficult, but those hurry, the slower they go, and clinging or attachment cannot be limited. Even to be attached to the idea of enlightenment is to go astray. Just let things be in their own way, and they will neither be coming nor going. Obey the nature of things, that is your own nature, and you will walk freely and undisturbed. Yes, Queen? Do you want me to read more?
Yeah, let me get you one more thing to read. That was great. It's amazing how much better a woman's voice is, like in terms of dopamine. Like
Yeah, that's good.
testimonials, reading poetry. It's got a much higher sticky rate, or capture rate. So bravo. What did you think about the document? I mean, the more you think, the more you speak, the further from the truth you get. So
Yeah, I believe in it.
Hello, all. If I may, I've absolutely fallen in love with your voice. So that was amazing. Thank you. And if I may, I'll introduce myself a little bit. I am, I guess, not a poet or anything, but I love the arts. I was a teacher for about a decade before retiring and whatnot. And this is the first poetry room I came into, or the title is poetry, and I absolutely love it. Thank you.
Can I read something theatric? Extremely dramatic. Like Howard.
wait, hold on. Before you read that, read this one. It's called Liber Oz.
Yeah. There is no God but man. Man has the right to live by his own law, to live in the way that he wills to do, to work as he will, to play as he will, to rest as he will, to die when and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, to drink what he will, to dwell where he will, to move as he will on the face of the earth. Man has the right to think what he will, to speak what he will, to write what he will, to draw, to paint, to carve, etch, mold, build as he will, to dress as he will. Man has the right to love as he will. Take your fill and will of love as ye will. When, where, and with whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who will thwart these rights. The slaves shall serve. Love is the law. Love unto will.
Okay, that was great. What did you think?
Sounds like
Wills to do.
Really nice, very nice. Perfect.
It actually reminded me of like Sufi poetry.
Really?
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
like stuff from like Mevlana or Mevla, you know, that era.
Yeah, Maulana has that quality to him. But Rumi too has that quality to him.
Well, Rumi, that's what I said.
Yeah, Jalaluddin. Yeah.
It just had that kind of like there's a lot of like love, but it's also kind of dark at the same time.
Yeah, it's still individuated, yet it is empty of the self. Yeah.
How it fills you with activity.
I actually translated a bunch of Sufi poetry, or had translated, probably a better way to say it, to reflect modern English. Let's see if I can maybe share something in the link or something in the chat if anyone wants to look at it.
Thank you, Adrian. That was great.
Yeah, did you want to read something else, Narjis? Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to read something I wrote. It's just like 4 or 5 lines. It's called Jenga Wall. I want to destroy you with just a fingertip, till your tall Jenga wall collapses, leaving behind an unsculpted you with rough edges. My most favorite work of art, hung on the walls of my heart.
Okay, so Red, do you want to read any poetry? You want to read some Rumi?
I can try. You know, I get a little nervous, but yeah, I'd love to give it a shot. I've always tried to do voices and things like that. You know, see what I can do with it, and hopefully everyone enjoys it.
Adrian, do you like The Prophet? Khalil Gibran?
Very nice.
Yeah, it's good.
That's a good one. I put a link in the chat.
Yeah.
Have you read that? Have you read that, Red? Has everybody read that shit?
Yes, there.
Yeah, it's been a long.
I read all of Khalil Gibran, most of all. So has Red, I think. Read The Alchemist. Do you like it, Zach? Khalil Gibran.
Yes, I read it. Well, that was Paulo Coelho, wasn't it?
Paulo Coelho, not Khalil Gibran. Paulo Coelho. I went and saw his house when I'm in Spain. So cute.
So I do have those kind of modern versions I was speaking about. Like to hear one or two of those. I'd love to get your, y'all's opinion on, the way it sounds, the flow. That's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. This is by Rumi. It's called "Come, Come, Whoever You May Be." Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, seeker, or one who has strayed. The door is open, the call is clear. Though you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come again. For this path is not one of despair, but of hope, mercy, and grace. Come as you are, burdened and weary, for love awaits you. Come and walk with the beloved, who restores the soul and gives rest to the heart.
That was good.
Wills to do, to walk as he will.
Thank you. Actually, I have a list of 30.
You're gonna have to trust me.
Poems, Sufi poems by different authors. If it's okay, I have one more.
Yeah.
It's called The Reed Flute's Lament. Hearken to
Universal
the reed,
Occultism Channel.
how it
New
doth
books every week.
from separation's wound it sings in pain. From the reed bed was I cut away, my cries lament the loss of that day. Since then I wail to friend and foe alike, seeking hearts that know the wound I strike. A soul removed from its sacred ground, in my song the sorrowful truth is found. Whoever is torn from his origin dear, yearns always to return so clear. Of every breast my tale doth cry, both joy and sorrow doth therein lie. I am the flute of love's own flame, a fire that burns, yet none to blame. The wind of grief doth through me wail, and still I sing my wistful tale. None can see the secrets I keep, save one whose eyes doth wake from sleep. The soul's true bond to the beloved's face alone dost ease this dire grace. Again by Rumi.
Very nice. Okay, Zach, do you want to do a Tanya?
All right. random?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. Sorry, I meant to mute up for that. This is called Your Inner Moses. Every person contains a capacity called Moses that allows them to bring the knowledge of God into the community. Some contain more Moses than others, and these can teach people to know God. They will remain among us until the Messianic era, as it is written, and they shall teach no more, for all shall know me. But such knowing is only in the mind, and your body too must feel God's presence. This no one can teach you. Only your own effort can achieve this. Hence, if a person says, I have labored and found, believe him. To achieve this physical knowing, you must first control your drives and refrain from actions that obscure the light of God, like wasting time on Clubhouse. Second, you must arouse the imagination and feel your body afloat in the infinite spaciousness of God. This must be done for long periods of time, though how long differs with each person. The essential thing is to train both heart and mind to see all things as God. This is implicit in the word faith, which we should understand to mean training. Now the commentary. God provides us with teachers of God realization. They know the God of your Father and serve him with a whole heart and a longing soul. 1 Chronicles 28:9. Their task is to help you know God and not to serve themselves in any way. In fact, the role of the spiritual teacher is self-eliminating. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh. For all shall know me, Jeremiah 31:34. The aim of a spiritual teacher is to make teaching unnecessary and knowing universal. Yet even with the help of teachers, spirituality is work, avodah. And like all work, it can be tedious and exhausting. This is why we are taught to seek God as if seeking a hidden treasure. Just as you would not give up because the digging is hard work, so do not abandon your practice because contemplation is hard. This is the meaning of the word emunah, faith. You have faith not in this or that idea or creed, but faith in the process. So you discipline yourself to stick with it, to keep digging. The essential thing is to train and habituate your mind continuously so that it always knows, sees, and hears the physical world as a manifestation of God.
Alles ist Gott! Okay, that was a wonderful Tanya. Okay, I'm gonna read from this Gerd Ziegler Tarot Mirror of the Soul book. I'm gonna read to you the Queen of Wands. Keywords: the watery aspect of fire, self-knowledge, change, compassion. The Queen of Wands has mastered self-knowledge. She has looked deep into her own nature, which has led to a transformation of her being. The story says that she at one time had black hair, and the panther, her companion, had black fur. The transformation she underwent left her with golden blonde hair, turned the panther into a lion. However, her knowledge of her former condition filled her with compassion for those creatures not yet freed. In order to be able to help others, she chooses to wear reddish-brown hair and keeps the lion in the form of a leopard, whose black spots bear witness to the darkness of the past. The queen sits in a fiery throne, wearing an armor of scales with a fish emblem on the breast. It is the unifying of water and fire, of intuitive recognition and emotional involvement, which effect inner transformation. Her crown of intellectual clarity and expanded perception still bears the nails of the crown of thorns, a reminder of the humiliation and suffering which preceded her transformation. Her eyes are closed in quiet ecstasy. The consciousness is turned inward, and her presence radiates the blessedness of inner peace. The pine cone at the east of the wand symbolizes spiritual growth. The wand held in this position reminds us to ground our self-realization in the earth, as well as to allow others to share in it. Indication you have worked on yourself and made progress. It's time to learn how to share this with others. Let your self-realization be expressed in your daily life. Questions: how can you share what you have found for yourself with other people? Suggestion: meditate on the following statement. Learning is finding out what you already know. Action is showing that you know. Teaching is letting others know that they know it as well as you. Affirmation: I am a radiant being filled with light and love. Okay, that's a Gerd Ziegler Tarot Mirror of the Soul. That was the Queen of Wands. Okay, this is the Universe. Card number 21. Keyword: Saturn, completion, cosmic union, travel, liberation from bondage, burning off karma. This is the last card of the major arcana. It closes the circle, which began with the Fool. The great task has been brought to completion and returns to the innocence and ingenuousness of the Fool. The drop disappears into the ocean, and the ocean pours into the drop. This completion is at the same time a new beginning on a higher level of being. The final goal is reached, the return to the original cosmic oneness. Now you see yourself in the world as it really is. Eye of Horus in the upper right. All garments and masks have become superfluous and useless because you are at one with your original nature. You are whirling, caught up in the perpetual dancing motion of the universe. The boundaries of your small eye dissolve in orgasmic union with the universe. The nude woman dances the dance of liberation. Through the eye of Horus, she has seen into the nature of limitations. With this insight symbolized by the sickle she still holds in her right hand, she cuts through the web of ensnarement. Even the gigantic serpent of transformation has lost its function. The energy has been transformed and a new quality exists. The serpent has outlived its usefulness. There is nothing left which its poisonous bite could destroy. The four cherubim blow the all-pervading spirit in all four directions. See, all is new. Indication: it is now possible for you to see things as they really are. The stage is set for a new beginning or a favorable completion. The events in your life are in harmony with the universe. Questions: from what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or an enterprise waiting for you to set it in motion? Suggestions: trust your perceptions. Make a list of all unfinished situations whose resolution would give you a sense of relief. Affirmation: I am one with the universe. Ding!
Bro, that was awesome.
Okay, anybody else want to read anything?
Yeah, I got one more. I'd like to read. One sec, sorry. Sip of water real quick. And the poem I would like to read is by Yunus Emre. And it's called The Sorrowful Water Wheel. It was written about a giant water mill that I believe is in Lebanon and still exists today. So the sorrowful water wheel. They call me the sorrowful wheel. With every turn, my pain is real. Both heart and soul I've worn away, groaning in grief, both night and day. From the branches of a willow was I wrought, torn from the mountain where I was sought, shaped to serve, to turn, to cry, bound by this fate beneath the sky. The river flows, and so do I, turning, weeping beneath the sky. Who knows the burden that I bear? Who hears the pain within my prayer? This groan of mine, it is not mine. It comes from the source, the love divine. Through every turn, through every tear, his hidden wisdom draws me near. Oh, friends, behold this wheel of grief. Its cries are many, its years are brief. For all who come, their time will wane, and only God's love shall remain. It's very famous. There's like 1 million songs and versions of this poem done by modern artists. It's one of the few poems that struck me, like reading it in Turkish and then trying to do translations of it. It's the grief of a tree that was turned into a mill to serve these humans who, don't even notice really. But still, everything, the joy, the pain, and all of it is done in the name of existing and being able to, I guess, acknowledge and experience God's power and love. And, the Sufi way.
Okay, have you ever heard of Invictus by William Henley or William Ernest Henley?
I don't think so. Maybe the name it doesn't sound foreign, but I can't say yes.
Okay, this is William Ernest Henley, Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, out of 1 sec. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Have you read? That was beautiful. Have you read about the mind is without fear?
No.
Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
That's powerful.
Okay, Red, you want to read anything else? Narjay, you want to read anything else?
I was just skimming through poems to see. Yeah, I have one here called The Nightingale and the Rose by Uptarsh. The nightingale sang with a heart full of fire, to the rose, his one and only desire. "O rose," he cried, "how sweet thy bloom! Yet thy silence casts my soul in gloom." The rose, unmoved in quiet grace, held its secrets, veiled its face. "Why dost thou pine?" it seemed to say, "for love demands a greater way." The nightingale, with a trembling heart, pressed his breast to the thorn, his final art. His blood like rubies the rose did adorn, and love's true meaning that night was born. For in the garden all hearts must know, true love requires the self to go. The rose stands still, the nightingale sings, and in their union eternity springs.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Is the pit from pole to...
Yeah, I did these translations about a month ago, and they've just been sitting here. and yeah, I was, happy to see a poetry room, and when I joined, and I know you and I have just recently met in the last day or two, so I still was trying to figure out who you are, kinda. and yeah, I'm glad I came into the room.
pit from pole.
Starring Mickey Mouse, like that was slated for release.
Wills to do.
Okay, Narges, this is your playback of The Rights of Man. Here we go.
To work as he will, to play as he will, to rest as he will, to die when and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, to drink what he will, to dwell where he will, to move as he will on the face of the earth. Man has the right to think what he will, to speak what he will, to write what he will, to draw, to paint, to carve, etch, mold, build as he will, to dress as he will. Man has the right to love as he will. Take your fill and will of love as ye will. When, where, and with whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who will thwart these rights. The slaves shall serve. Love is the law. Love and the will.
Okay, this is Zach's rating. Oh no, this is your other one.
However, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. Where the deep meaning of things is not understood, the mind. The way is perfect, like vast space, where nothing is lacking and nothing is in excess. Indeed, it is due to our choosing to accept or reject that we do not see.
So I put the phone down and it like can't really hear it that good after that. But yeah, so thanks for reading all this poetry. I'm gonna read one more thing. This is again Marcus Aurelius. This is for the Stoic Narges. Do not despise death, but be well content with it, since this too is one of those things which nature wills. For such as it is to be young and to grow old and to increase and reach maturity, and to have teeth and beard, gray hairs, and to beget, and to be pregnant and to bring forth, and all the other natural operations which the seasons of thy life bring, such also is dissolution. This then is consistent with the character of a reflecting man, to be neither careless, nor impatient, nor contemptuous with respect to death, but to wait, for it is as one of the operations of nature. As thou now waitest for the time when the child shall come out of thy wife's womb, so be ready for the time when thy soul shall fall out of this envelope. But if thou requirest also a vulgar kind of comfort which shall reach thy heart, thou wilt be made best reconciled to death by observing the objects from which thou art going to be removed, and the morals of those with whom thy soul will no longer be mingled. For it is no way right to be offended with men, but it is thy duty to care for them and to bear with them gently, and yet to remember that thy departure will be not from men who have the same principles as thyself. For this is the only thing, if there be any, which could draw us to the contrary way and attach us to life. To be permitted to live with those who have the same principles as ourselves. But now thou seest how great is the trouble arising from the discordance of those who live together, so that thou mayest say, Come quick, O death, lest perchance I, too, should forget myself. He who does wrong against himself. He who acts unjustly to himself, because he makes himself bad. He often acts unjustly who does not do a certain thing, not only he who does a certain thing. Thy present opinion founded on understanding, and thy present conduct directed to social good, and thy present disposition of contentment with everything which happens. That is enough. Wipe out imagination, check desire, extinguish appetite, keep the ruling faculty in its own power. Among the animals which have not reason, one life is distributed, but among reasonable animals, one intelligent soul is distributed, just as there is one earth of all things which are of an earthy nature, and we see by one light, and breathe one air, all of us that have the faculty of vision, and all that have life. All things which participate in anything which is common to them all move towards that which is of the same kind with themselves. Everything which is earthy turns towards the earth, everything which is liquid flows together, and everything which is of an aerial kind does the same, so that they require something to keep them asunder, and the application of force. Fire indeed moves upward, on account of the elemental fire, but it is so ready to be kindled together with all the fire which is here, that even every substance which is somewhat dry is easily ignited, because there is less mingled with it of that which is a hindrance to ignition. Accordingly, then everything also which participates in the common intelligent nature moves in like manner towards that which is of the same kind with itself, or moves even more. For so much as it is superior in comparison with all other things in the same degree, also it is more ready to mingle with and to be fused with that which is akin to it. Accordingly, among animals devoid of reason, we find swarms of bees and herds of cattle in the nurture of young birds, and in a manner loves. For even in animals there are souls, and that power which brings them together is seen to exert itself in the superior degree, and in such a way as never has been observed in plants, nor in stones, nor in trees. But in rational animals there are political communities and friendships, and families and meetings of people, and in wars, treaties, and armistices. But in the things which are still superior, even though they are separated from one another, unity in a manner exists as in the stars. Thus the ascent to the higher degree is able to produce a sympathy even in things which are separated. See then what now takes place. For only intelligent animals have now forgotten this mutual desire and inclination, and in them alone the property of flowing together is not seen. But still, though men strive to avoid this union, they are caught and held by it, for their nature is too strong for them. And thou wilt see what I say if thou only observest. Sooner then will one find anything earthy, which comes in contact with no earthly thing, than a man together separated from other men. Both man and God in the universe produce it fruit. At the proper seasons each produces it. But if usage has especially fixed these terms to the vine and like things, this is nothing. Reason produces fruit, both for all and for itself, and there are produced from it other things of the same kind as reason itself. If thou art able, correct by teaching those who do wrong. But if thou canst not, remember that indulgence is given to thee for this purpose, and the gods too are indulgent to such persons, and for some purposes they even help them to get health, wealth, a reputation, so kind they are. And it is in thy power also, all say, who hinders thee. Labor not as one who is wretched, nor yet as one who would be pitied or admired, but direct thy will to one thing only, to put thyself in motion, and to check thyself, as the social reason requires. Today I have got out of all trouble, or rather I have cast out all trouble, for it was not outside, but within, and in my opinions. All things are the same, familiar in experience, and ephemeral in time, and worthless in the matter. Everything now is just as it was in the time of those whom we have buried. Things stand outside of us, themselves by themselves, neither knowing aught of themselves nor expressing any judgment. What is it then which does judge about them? The ruling faculty. Not in passivity, but in activity lie the evil and the good of the rational social animal, just as his virtue and his vice lie not in passivity, but in activity. For the stone which has been thrown up is no evil to come down, nor indeed any good to have been carried up. Penetrate inwards into men's leading principles, and thou wilt see what judges thou art afraid of, and what kind of judges they are of themselves. All things are changing, and thou thyself art in continuous mutation, and in a manner in continuous destruction, and the whole universe too. It is thy duty to leave another man's wrongful act there where it was, where it is. Termination of activity, cessation from movement and opinion, and in a sense the death is no evil. Turn thy thoughts now to the consideration of thy life. Thy life as a child, as a youth, thy manhood, thy old age, for in these also every change was a death. Is this anything to fear? Turn thy thoughts now to thy life under thy grandfather, then to thy life under thy mother, then to thy life under thy father. And as thou findest many other differences and changes and terminations, ask thyself, is this anything to fear? In like manner, then, neither are the termination and cessation and change of thy whole life a thing to be afraid of. Hasten to examine thy own ruling faculty and that of the universe and that of thy neighbor, thy own that thou mayest make it just, and that of the universe that thou mayest remember of what thou art a part, and that of thy neighbor that thou mayest know whether he has acted ignorantly or with knowledge, and that thou mayest also consider that his ruling faculty is akin to thine. As thou thyself art a component part of a social system, so let every act of thine be a component part of social life. Whether act of thine then has no reference either immediately or remotely to a social end, this tears asunder thy life, and does not allow it to be one. And it is of the nature of a mutiny, just as when in a popular assembly, a man acting by himself stands apart from the general agreement. Quarrels of little children and their sports, and poor spirits carrying about dead bodies, such as everything. And so what is exhibited in the representation of the mansions of the dead strikes at eyes more clearly. Examine into the quality of the form of an object, detach it altogether from its material part, and then contemplate it. Then determine the time, the longest which a thing of this peculiar form is naturally made to endure. Oh, look, it's Princessia. Allahu Akbar. Thou hast endured infinite troubles through not being contented with thy ruling faculty, when it does the things which it is constituted by nature to do. But enough of this. When another blames thee or hates thee, or when men say about thee anything injurious, approach their poor souls, penetrate within, and see what kind of men they are. Thou wilt discover that there is no reason to take any trouble that these men may have this or that opinion about thee. However, thou must be well disposed towards them, for by nature they are friends, and the gods too aid them in all ways, by dreams, by signs, toward the attainment of those things on which they set a value. The periodic movements of the universe are the same, up and down from age to age, and either the universal intelligence puts itself in motion for every separate effect. And if this is so, be thou content with that which is the result of its activity. Or it puts itself in motion once and everything else comes by way of sequence and a manner. Or indivisible elements are the origin of all things. In a word, if there is a God, all is well. And if chance rules, do not thou also be governed by it? Soon will the earth cover us all. Then the earth too will change, and the things also which result from change will continue to change forever, and these again forever. For if a man reflects on the changes and transformations which follow one another like wave after wave in the rapidity, he will despise everything which is perishable. Okay, this is going to be the last verse I'm going to read. The universal cause is like a winter torrent. It carries everything along with it. But how worthless are all these poor people who are engaged in matters political, and as they suppose are playing the philosopher. All drivellers. Well then, man, do what nature now requires. Set thyself in motion. If it is in thy power, and do not look about thee to see if anyone will observe it, nor yet expect Plato's Republic. But be content if the smallest thing goes on well, and consider such an event to be no small matter. For who can change men's opinions? And without a change of opinions, what else is there than the slavery of men who groan while they pretend to obey? Come now and tell me of Alexander and Philip and Demetrius of Phalerum. They themselves so judge whether they discovered what the common nature required, and trained themselves accordingly. But if they acted like tragedy heroes, no one has condemned me to imitate them. Simple and modest is the work of philosophy. Draw me not aside to indolence and pride. Okay, that's Marcus Aurelius. Hope you enjoyed that reading. This is Adrian Dittman. Go ahead, Red.
I was just gonna say thanks. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for listening. You know, without another person, it's impossible to do an audiobook. I feel like it's possible, but it's difficult to record anything, I feel like, by yourself. You know, having like the feedback is awesome as a reader, but then as a listener, you know, if somebody can read something obscure and unique on this app, I feel it's like breakaway Clubhouse, secret Clubhouse.
Yeah. I feel you, bro. I do. But yeah, I'm glad again I met you a couple days ago, and you know,
The middle pillar.
Definitely enjoyed it. It's probably one of the. I mean, I'm new to Clubhouse. I've only been on about a month now, and it's probably one of the best experiences I had so far.
Para dar esperanza a América después de que intentaron arruinarnos, su primer acto de Dios es darle a los estadounidenses.
Welcome to Clubhouse. I want to read something from memory. I elocuted this